In this video, I'm going to look at an Android app that has an autocomplete functionality so that the user will start to type something and sort of a list based on what the user entered will show up. I'm also going to have an edit text that has an associated regular expression so that when what the user enters matches some pattern, that there's an indication that there's a match. And I'm also going to look at some like key events so that like as they're typing, so that instead of having some button or what have you, they'll be able to sort of like on a computer keyboard hit enter, or in the sort of corresponding phone keyboard to type the sort of corresponding key to an enter, and based on that sort of in lieu of a button. Okay, so that's our agenda. The URL for the code is seen here. Okay, so here's the app I want to show you. So the first one is the autocomplete. So this is just plain old text view. This is they're calling it a text view, but it's an autocomplete text view. And as the user types, and I have this long list of color names. And so as I start to type some color, I start typing an A, and then I get things that begin with A. So Alice blue or antique white, and then I'm going for aquamarine. So then I typed AQ, and I just got down to the list, and then I can pick aquamarine, and then I'm going to change the color. I have just another text view in here, not for the purpose of any text, but just for the purpose of changing its color to the color that they chose. Okay, so that is the game with an autocomplete. And then down here, they're going to enter hex codes. And so I'm expecting them to have a pound and then 6 hexadecimal digits. And there are fancier things like you can work with 3 hexadecimal digits, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to try to keep it simple. And so I'm expecting a pound sign followed by 6 hexadecimal digits, where a hexadecimal digit is the regular decimal digit between 0 and 9, and then 6 more, which are the letters A to B, and I'm not going to allow them to be capital or small letters. So let's do A, B, C, D capital, and 4, 5. And once I've matched my pattern, that's not the color. This color is not that bright green. That bright green is just my indication that, okay, I have a match, I'm ready to go, and then I'm going to hit enter. So if I'm just at the computer, I would hit the enter key, but down here on this keyboard down here, I'm going to hit this little check, and that's the equivalent of hitting enter. And then that color is this sort of pea green. Okay, so that is what I want to show you. So let's get started. So let's look at the activity main. There's a text view that just says enter a color. Then there's an autocomplete text view. So that's the one where you, as they're typing in it, and I don't know why they call it a text view rather than edit text. I'm sure they have some reason for their nomenclature, but it's something, its content can be changed. So it isn't, just at least some extent, can be edited. And then I have another text view, and this is just for displaying the color. And then here's another text view that says enter the hex code. And this one is just a simple edit text, but I have a hint showing you the sort of format that I want. And then down here in the another text view to display that color. Okay. And now the main activity. So the first thing I have in here, I have just the usual stuff up here, but I have a key event. So that is so that I can take from the keyboard sort of that sort of enter that I'm done. Widget is all my text views and so on. Text watcher is while I'm typing, I'm checking, do I match the pattern or not? And I'm also working with colors. Okay, so those are my imports. Here's just a big long list I stole from somewhere on the internet about a big long list of colors. And some of these colors are recognized by Android and some of them are not recognized by Android. And so we'll see that come up later. But for the colors that I also have a parallel array of hex codes. Of course, so these two are parallel arrays. So that first, that Alice blue is very, very light blue is here, F0, F8, FF. So it's a lot of Fs, so that's close to white, but the full amount is the blue, the red, the green, and the blue. So it's a very light, but blue dominates, so it's an Alice blue. Anyway, so but I have that parallel array. So I'm going to work with color names when it works, and then switch over to the hex codes when it doesn't. Okay, so that's just two big long arrays as part of my setup. And here's my pattern, my regular expression for my my hex codes for the colors. Okay, so I'm announcing that it is a regex, a regular expression. And then I'm going to enter the pattern. So this quote at the beginning and the end is not really part of the pattern, but just sort of delineating where the pattern starts and ends. And then caret has a special meaning in regular expressions. It actually plays two roles. It plays a different role if it's inside a square bracket, but this is not. My caret is not inside square brackets, and it's at the beginning, and that means that you must find the pattern at the beginning. So patterns can, in general, are looked for sort of anywhere within the text, but this caret is indicating that you must find my pattern at the beginning. This pound sign or hashtag or whatever you want to call it is just a literal that I'm expecting you to enter the pound sign in as part of what you enter in your hex code. And then the square bracket indicates sort of a set of choices. And so my set of choices are the digits 0 through 9, the letters capital A to capital F, and the dash represents a range. So 0 to 9, A to capital F, or little a to little f. And I think you saw as I was typing, then I typed small letters and capital letters, and it understood the mix. And then this curly bracket and the 6 means that what that set that came before, I'm expecting there to be 6 of them. And I don't have any range here, so I'm expecting sort of exactly 6. And then the dollar sign here at the end is sort of the complementary thing to the caret at the beginning. And that means that this pattern must be found at the end. So my pattern must be found at the beginning. My pattern must be found at the end. So my pattern is the only thing there is. If there's anything more, I'm not matching my pattern. Okay, so 6 pound sign and 6 hexadecimal digits. That's all I will allow. And again, there are color codes where you work with 3. There are ways to have an or this or that in regular expressions. I'm keeping it simple. So relatively simple. Okay, so I'm in my onCreate. I connect to the autocomplete. I connect to my text view to display the color. I connect to my edit text for entering the hex code. I have my second text view to display the second color. Okay, so when you work with an autocomplete, it's an awful lot like a spinner. And so you work with an ArrayAdapter. So I'm setting up an ArrayAdapter based on that, all those color names. So I called it AA color name, ArrayAdapter color name. It's an ArrayAdapter. And so we've seen spinners before. So this is very spinner-like. From an array, make an ArrayAdapter. This is similar, but a little bit different to a spinner. But now I'm using my ArrayAdapter to populate my autocomplete. And then here I'm setting the threshold, and that is how many letters do I type before I start to display the choices. So in my example here, I have to type one letter. So here I am, I go into the box. I'm not displaying the list. I'm getting ready to type. My keyboard pops up, but no suggestions are popping up. And if I type F, then I start getting the list of things that began with F. Okay, so that was that one, that the threshold was one letter. Okay. Now I had someone ask me how to, as soon as you put the focus in the box, as soon as you sort of put the cursor into the box, how do you get the list to show? And so that was not in this program, but in a different program. And that was sort of here. Here was an autocomplete text view for, I think this was nationalities or something. And you use a, instead of using the normal whatever event on the on item click listener, I'm using the setOnFocusListener. And I think the B is whether you're getting the focus or losing the focus. And so if you're getting the focus, if this guy is getting the focus, then show the drop down. So that was an alternative. So I'm not doing that in my example. I'm doing it. I have the threshold of 1, and I'm not working with the focus event, but I did want to show that sort of alternative that someone asked me how to do. Let me go back to the one I'm actually showing you. Okay. So now this is when you pick from the colors. So the list, you don't have to do any work to, shorten the list as you're typing. That happens automatically based on the code that we've already entered. But when from the shortened list you pick something, that's this event, the set on item click listener. And you've got to pay attention to this I here, because it is the index in the shortened list, not in the overall list. So this I, so I have this big long list of colors here. And if I said D, if I started with a D to get all these sort of dark colors, and then I chose dark blue, it would give me a 0 because that's the first thing within the list. And that's not corresponding to 0 in the big list is Alice Blue, but in the shortened list where I've started with a D, 0 is dark blue. And when you're down here in set on item click listener, the I is from the shortened list, that sort of dynamically shortened list. So I actually don't find it very useful, but that is what's given. Okay. So I'm toasting out the name. So I'm taking the color name, getting the text, converting it to a string, and toasting it out. And then I am trying to set the background color based on that. So this is going to be a try catch because, again, I think I've said before that all this big long list of names is probably what the internet understands, the web understands in terms of named colors, and not all these named colors are understood by Android. But I'm going to see what I can do and then adapt when I can. So I'm taking my text view, I'm setting the background color using the color class, and then parsing the color based on the name. So I'm taking that name and parsing the color. That's not always going to work because Android doesn't understand all of those colors I have. In that case, then I've got to use my parallel array of hex codes. And again, my I was the index in the shortened list, so I can't use my I. So here's me going to the array color names and using the index of method to look for the user's chosen color name within my list of color names and getting its index. And now that is the index in the big list. And then I can sort of switch over to the hex codes. And the hex codes it will understand. If it's a proper hex code, then this will work. Okay, so that was the autocomplete list. Now I'm switching over to the text change event listener. So this is like as the text is being changed, as usual, there's a before and after and a during, and I usually work with the during. So, but I have to have all three. So I don't have any code here. I don't have any code here. And here's while they're typing, I am looking for a match in my hex pattern. So again, way up here, I established a regular expression hex pattern. And then we're asking the question, is what they typed, one of the character sequence is, does the hex pattern match what they've typed? And if it matches, I turn it this bright green that we saw, and otherwise it's gray. So we saw that here, as right now it matches, so it's this bright green. But if I add something, then it's too long, it doesn't match, because I needed it to not, I needed to match in the beginning and the end and sort of be an exact match. It's not an exact match. Now it's too short, it's not an exact match. Now it's an exact match. So that's what is happening on the text change. Sort of this green indicator, not of the color, but of that I have a match. It's probably not a good idea to use a color to indicate a match in some program that also is dealing with colors, but there you go. So somebody else can do it better than me. I also have for the edit text an OnKeyListener. So this is listening to the individual sort of keys as they're typed. So that's a way to change things. So there's some overlap in these methods. This is each individual key sort of going up and down. And it sends you a key code, it sends you an event. So it tells you information about like what key was pressed. And so we're saying here, if the key code was enter, and if the action is up, so when you type a key, there's pressing the key down, letting the key come up. So I've, probably in the example I was working from, they were working with the up action, and here is the enter. So if they've typed an enter and they're allowing the key to come up, then that's when I do something, and I'm making sure still that the pattern matches, which it should. Sorry, no. If I hit, this is if I hit enter and I have an indication. Okay, so right now I don't have a match, but let me hit enter and it turned black. So I don't have a proper color. Now let me make it back to a proper color and then enter it, and I do have a color. So if I have a good, so if they've clicked enter and it's the up action, then if it's a good hex color, I'm going to set the color based on that hex color. Otherwise, I'm going to make it black. And also there was a toast. I didn't pay attention. There was a toast when it was bad. Now let me hit enter. Use it. There's my toast problem with hexcode. And then you need this. This is part of like a standard setOnKeyListener to return true here and false there. So when they hit enter, I want to do something, but I don't think I necessarily want to take it in as a character. I want the character to invoke an action, but not really be a character in what's in the box. Okay, and I think that is what I wanted to show you on this example. Thanks very much for your attention.